It's time for the Freedom in 5 Minutes podcast. Powerful and liberating business strategies you can start in 5 minutes or less. Now, here's your host, Dean Soto.
Hey, this is Dean Soto, founder of FreedomIn5Minutes.com and ProSulam.com. And we're here again with another Freedom in 5 Minutes podcast episode. Today's topic is this: automating your LinkedIn lead generation the easy way. That and more coming up. Oh, I had to think of that title. I didn't even know what I was going to talk about. If you hear some chickens in the background, that's because those are chickens. Can you hear those? They're actually laying an egg right now. Here, I'm going to put the audio up to where they're laying an egg. Here, listen to this. Yeah, that's the egg laying sound. If you had a big egg coming out of your bum, that's probably what the sound you would make as well. Oh, so good morning. It's a beautiful day. I think it's going to storm today, which is going to be great. Oh, I haven't had a storm in a long time. Man, it's going to be wonderful. So over the last few months, if you listen to the podcast before, you know that Dean Soto is pretty lazy-o. Yes, I'm part Mexican, but my Spanish is muy malo. Okay. But all that being said, so LinkedIn, obviously one of the best places to do lead generation, has become let's just say a salesy, spammy place. And a lot of people that I know, even on LinkedIn, are like, yeah, you know, when people are connecting with you, it's literally just like, it's literally that whole idea of like, you connect and you wait for the autoresponder to come where the person is like, yeah, buy my stuff. Right? I was endorsing some people not too long ago, and like immediately I got a thank you. Oh, by the way, I do all this stuff. Right? And I'm like, why would you do that? Okay. So anyway, all that being said, a lot of people just are despondent. They don't like LinkedIn anymore. It used to be such a beautiful place to be able to connect with people, and it's turned into this kind of really spammy, automated, nasty place, right? And then you get those people who connect with you, and you know that they are a bot, or they are using some kind of automation, because it'll say something like, hey, I thought it would be mutual, love what you're doing. I thought it would be mutually beneficial to connect, or something like that, right? Or it'll say like, I love what you're doing with ProSulam, LLC, and you just know, like, you didn't really, that was merged in there. Come on. Who says ProSulam, LLC? They'll say ProSulam, or, you know, things like that, right? And so it's a pretty nasty, it can be a pretty like annoying place to be sometimes. And so, like I said, a lot of people are just like, yeah, I'm done. Like, you can't sell on LinkedIn anymore. You can't connect with people on LinkedIn anymore. You can't, it's not a good marketplace for all of that anymore. Well, I beg to differ, my friend. I beg to differ. So one of the things that, it's funny because a lot of the things that people associate, how do I want to say this? Oh, I thought something was growling at me, but that was a motorcycle. So one of the things that I think people get stuck with when it comes to any type of automation is that it needs to be robotic, right? Most people suck at automation, right? and you can tell right away if something's automated, if something's not. And so part of the reason why people get so fed up with platforms like that. I mean, think of email. When you got spam. Everyone's like, oh, you can't do cold email lead generation anymore. You can't do any of that. It doesn't work because of spam. Everyone hates spam. Well, that's because if you just blast out to 10,000 different people, yeah, you're going to get marked as spam. And yeah, it's not going to work. So you have to do things in a way where it is much more personalized, and much more creative, yet automated. And so I'm going to stick with LinkedIn in this particular case. But a lot of any place, there's really two things to keep in mind when doing any type of lead generation in general. One, if everyone says something doesn't work, more than likely it will work. If you do it the right way. So that's number one. Number two, if you're doing any type of automation when it comes to lead generation, you have to be much more creative nowadays. And so, all right, so I'm going to just jump into it right now, okay? Because I was thinking as I'm talking, because I do these things just pretty much off the cuff. As I'm talking, I'm like, maybe I'm not. Should I talk about what should I talk about? How should I talk about this? I don't know. Should I make it into a story? Should I make it whatever? I'm just gonna go into it. It might be a story. So anyway, I know the power. I mean, think of LinkedIn. LinkedIn is one of the best. I mean, it's all business people, right? It's all business people who are looking to connect with other business people, right? One of the biggest problems is that they're also looking to sell to other business people. So to differentiate yourself, you really have to develop rapport with people. You really have to give a lot of value up front. And by giving that value up front, you're able to build this relationship with people in a way where you're no longer seen as that annoying pest, as Dan Kennedy would say. You are seen as a welcomed guest. So Dan Kennedy, one of the world's best copywriters, said, you're no longer seen as an annoying pest. You're seen as a welcomed guest, right? Seen as a welcomed guest. Back when I started doing my business back in 2009, I would go to these networking events. And there were two types of people. There were those people who literally just wanted to chat and have fun and talk and connect and so on. And then there were those people who came around and just tossed business cards in your face. They just said, hey, here, take a business card. Hey, take a card. Hey, here you go. And you look, and they would throw out 1,000 business cards to 1,000 people, and then wonder why no one called. No relationship whatsoever, no nothing. No one would buy from them. And that's the way most people use LinkedIn, okay? So I started a couple months ago. I'm like, you know what? I really want to get back into LinkedIn. I really think that there's an opportunity there. And I had already been using LinkedIn to grab names and so on in data for sending out cold emails. I would use ducksoup, DUX-soup, SOUP, to scrape LinkedIn. I'd use LinkedIn Premium, and I'd scrape LinkedIn and it would go through to get all of their information, and then I would use other things such as an email finder or hunter.io to find the emails, and then we would send cold emails to those people. But it would always be off of LinkedIn. It wouldn't be from LinkedIn itself, right? But I'm thinking, you know what? I really want to try to figure out, how can I build my network on LinkedIn with people who are definitely going to be one of my best types of customers, people who would love my service, who would benefit from what I post, or anything that I share, any interviews that I do, any trainings that I do on LinkedIn. How can I build that up automatically without sounding spammy, and create a field, almost like a farmer, start building a field and planting seeds, watering them, nurturing them, so that over time people see, wow, I am finding a lot of value in what this guy is saying. I want to give him a try. Well, the cool thing is that so I'm like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to get this going. I want it to happen. But one of the hiccups that I had, one of the problems that I was facing, is that in order to really reach more people, I needed to connect with more people. And ducksoup was good for connecting, but it didn't have the automations that I wanted to have, because you honestly could tell right away. I mean, most automations, they allow you to modify the first name. They allow you to, or merge the first name, so that if, people see Steve, comma, hey, how's it going? Or Jeff, comma, hey, came across your profile, or whatever. They allow you to do that. And that's great. It's okay. But what they don't allow you to do is if and if then statements, right? So if they have X, then do Y. And when you're doing any type of automation, conditional workflows or conditional statements, if then statements, are extremely powerful, because we as humans, and I teach this in the whole process stuff. I teach this, this is all freedomin5minutes.com type stuff. Humans make thousands of if-then statements and conditional workflows and execute on those workflows every single day. And so when we see something that utilizes if-then conditioning, it resonates with us much more than if something doesn't. And I know that sounds kind of weird. It kind of sounds far-fetched, but the power of it is so underutilized, and it's the reason why most automation looks like crap and why most people hate it. So I needed to find a tool. I wanted to find a tool that allowed me to utilize if-then statements. So I ended up moving to a tool called Linked Helper. And they had just recently introduced the ability to use conditional workflows for your messaging. And it is so cool. So so because one of my main problems was the connection part of it. Because if you are a spammy connector, that's what's going to get you in so much trouble with LinkedIn. If people are constantly ignoring and constantly flagging you as spam, you can get shut down, right? You can get shut down very quickly. So I know I could change my profile. I can do a whole bunch of different things. My profile is probably not the best right now. Some people think I'm a consultant, which I am. Some people think that I don't know what I do. Sometimes they know what I do. Sometimes I don't. They don't. That's fine. Don't care. And it sounds bad. And I'm not a super marketer, but I am an automator. I wanted to connect with people. And what this allowed me to do, what Linked Helper allowed me to do, was if they had someone who was a first connection or a second connection, I could say in my messaging, "Hey Steve, notice that we both know Sam Carpenter." So if they had just one connection, that would be one. But if they had two connection, like a second degree and a first degree, notice that we both know Ramit Sethi and Sam Carpenter. It will actually add both. If they only have one, it won't add both. It'll just add one. If they have both, it'll add both. And then it'll say, notice that I wanted to connect with other people in the X industry, whatever industry it might be, like the packaging and merchandising industry or whatever. So if they had an industry, it'll say something like, I wanted, I thought it would be mutually beneficial to connect, and I'm always trying to grow my association, or I forgot how I said it, but in the whatever let's just say packaging and consulting industry, like yourself, connect with other people in the packaging and consulting industry like yourself. So if they have an industry in their thing, it will say that. If it doesn't, it'll just say, "Hey, I thought it would be mutually beneficial if we connect." If we have no connection, it'll say, "Hey, I came across your profile, love what you do," and yada, yada. The point is that based off of if they have connections, it will name those connections. Which, think about that. If someone said, "Hey, hey Sam, I think we both know George." It's better than just saying, "Hi Sam, I'd like to be your friend." It's like, "Hey, I think we both know George. He's a great guy. Just wanted to see if you wanted to connect, maybe over coffee or something that time." It's much more powerful, right? And so, what that's done, it is skyrocketed the amount of acceptances. I do 100 a day, all automated, 100 a day, and I just over time, boom, 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 get connections. I even get people who are like. Like one guy's like, "I usually don't hire consultants, but I'm listening." And I've actually gotten customers from this strategy. So $79 a month plus $15 a month for Linked Helper or whatever. $79 a month for the LinkedIn Premium plus Linked Helper. And turns into, several $1,000s in revenue per month. Not bad at all, right? Now, of course, that's not counting, the person, the different people who become clients from LinkedIn. that came from connecting, but then also on top of that, it came from putting out a lot of content, valuable content, sharing valuable things, growing rapport, things like that. That is extremely important as well. But if you're just looking to connect with people, I highly recommend using something like Linked Helper. You could use something like ducksoup. So Linked Helper is LINKED helper. I think it's one word. It might be two. Or you can use ducksoup, DUX-soup, just to get the connections going. Because then you can rather than you focusing on the connections, you can then as the connections are being made, you can then develop and create valuable content that those people will then see over time, right? Through the LinkedIn algorithm. The more that you do that, the more that you're able to reach people and really make a huge difference in their life, right? And grow your business at the same time. So pretty amazing what you can do and how you can really utilize automation with LinkedIn and utilize that to create a pretty awesome LinkedIn lead generation machine. And I know that's just the beginning, but that's part of the automation. The cool thing is you can use a virtual systems architect from prosulum.com, prosulum.com. You can also schedule a discovery call at freedomin5minutes.com for the same and have them do some of the other type of stuff, like replying to people who have direct messaged you, right? You can have them do a whole bunch of other stuff so that you don't have to do it. Now it's automated on that side. It's automated on the connecting side. But anyway, this is Dean Soto, freedomin5minutes.com. I'm going to go continue building my fence that I've been working on for my garden. And I'll catch you on the next Freedom in 5 Minutes podcast episode.
Thanks for listening to the Freedom in 5 Minutes podcast. Now, head over to www.freedomin5minutes.com and register for our free masterclass and discover how to start systemizing and automating your entire business 5 minutes at a time. We'll see you next time on the Freedom in 5 Minutes podcast.